What's the most money you've ever raised for one project?
Well, I guess probably at this point, around the $500,000 mark for the film I've just made. I can't give you the exact number. It's in that ballpark though. Yeah, well, I'll tell you what a great thing with crowdfunding is. Don't necessarily think about that money being the whole pot of money. What crowdfunding does is it gives you a proof of concept. It illustrates audience engagement. And if you can illustrate that, then you can go and ask people for more money with much more confidence. Like my producer, Jonathan Green, was really adamant about doing a Kickstarter because he said, hey, you want to find out if there's an audience for this movie? Put it online, do the Kickstarter, and then you're going to find out. It'll either get traction or it won't. So it was really brutal. It was kind of like a, baptism by fire. And it was kind of like, oh, this thing might not succeed. Luckily it did, and it exceeded its mark. But what it really did, apart from giving us some funds that we needed, was it gave our film a shot in the arm. It got 200 fans who loved the movie and wanted to support it and wanted to tweet about it and share about it on Instagram. So it gave us traction. It put us on the map. And that actually gave my producer more confidence to invest because he could see something tangible. Okay, people are liking the movie. So, I would say doing it just as a proof of concept is a great way to go. And maybe lower your amount a little bit. Don't think that the Kickstarter money is the only thing you'll ever get. If you have a successful crowdfunding campaign, that confidence becomes contagious. So that would be my advice to anyone trying to crowdfund. Make sure you have a win. Make sure you get that target. So maybe lower the amount a little bit and blow through it. That would be my advice. Yeah. I think we were aiming for about 20,000 US. So we set it as about 25,000 Australian. And I think we got about 30,000 Australian. So yeah, it did go over. And you need that little buffer just because people can still pull out. So you do need a little bit of a buffer. And I got to tell you, it was hard work. It was a full-time job for a month. And Sierra Lynch is a genius at social media. But even then, and frankly, she's a financial dominatrix. So people have a fit. One of my friends said, as if this crowdfunding isn't going to work. You have a financial dominatrix. And I said, okay, I take your point. On the other hand, they're used to paying her for this kind of sexual role play thing. It's actually a different proposition to say, hey, come and invest in an indie film. So we had to really educate her fan base about, no, this is a completely different thing. It's a movie. It's a real thing. This is what you get for investing. And she had to put a lot of effort to convert them because it wasn't the usual transaction they were used to. It was actually something different. So it was all hands on deck for a month, a lot of sleepless nights, and thrilled that we got there in the end.
I'll try to include the link to the Kickstarter campaign page because you did a great job in creating this intrigue and mystery, even if dom, humiliation, all that isn't someone's forte. I thought you did a great job in terms of creating a story out of the trailer.
Thank you. And look, that was the critical thing that my producer, Jonathan Green, said. He's like, okay, we know that people who are already into this kind of thing or this strange sort of sexual subculture, we know that they're already invested. His challenge to me was try and get the most mainstream audience you can. Try and get people who have no interest in that world to bite on this. And we actually did that, and that's what gave him confidence. People who maybe not even have no interest in femdom and BDSM, they might even have an aversion to it, but they were pulled in because they thought, well, actually, this is a thriller. This is going to be an exciting movie, and there's some thought that's been put into it. There's a story here. So that was really the challenge for us to reach a more mainstream audience, and now that's our challenge with the film being released. We have to break out beyond the niche. The niche is only so big, and I think we have a film that can do that, fingers crossed.
And so when you raised the $30,000 on Kickstarter, it was under the name of Ruin Me, and it was supposed to be a documentary?
Well, it's funny you say that. I actually never called it a documentary. I was setting up the blurring of the lines even back then, 3 years ago on the Kickstarter. Now, it did say from documentary filmmaker Julian Shaw, which was true because I had only made documentaries till that point. But I was very careful to include in the trailer, if you go back and look, my character actually says the words, "This is not a documentary." I made sure I put that in there so that no one could ever have any qualms about the fact that the film is fictionalized. So I think we tried to be transparent right from the beginning, but it was funny, even up until this point, I have friends saying, hey, how's the doco going? And I'm like, it's not a documentary. I was writing a script for it. But people see what they want to see. So that's been very interesting. Very interesting. People have expectations and you can be transparent, but people hear what they want to hear.
So then you were able to get producers on board before you did the Kickstarter, obviously.
You know, I had one producer, Jonathan Green from Australia, who was really supporting from the beginning, but he was a little bit, you know, careful. He's never given me a cent that he wasn't sure about, put it that way. He made me develop it in stages. So firstly, we made a short film, which will never be released. It wasn't very good, but it was a short film to prove that I could act, that Sierra could act, and that this kind of hybrid form was actually engaging. So we made this 20-minute short, and he liked it. He said, okay, you made that. Now I feel a bit better about investing in a feature, but let's make sure that there's an audience for it. So do a Kickstarter. We did that, big success. Then he said, okay, now I'm comfortable to really invest some more funds in this. So he was very smart. It was a torturously slow process from my perspective, but that development was needed. And each little milestone we cleared, again, step by step, gave us all more confidence.